This is Fountain Pendulum. I think this is a very unique offering because it's not often that we come across a glass dip nib pen that not only comes capped, but also that is designed to take a cartridge. So this will be, I think, interesting to take a look at. But let's take a look at the pen before we do a writing sample and all that. So first of all, this is one of their earlier releases. This is the Wancher Shizuku. It has a pretty simple profile to it, but it does get a little thicker toward the cap and then a flare at the end. Nothing special going on in the finial. And then here also you'll see that it becomes a little bit thinner toward the back. There's like a step down and then consistently thinner. Nothing on this finial either. The material is from aerospace or aircraft. It's supposed to be lightweight and durable material. I think the design is fine. I don't really care for the fact that it kind of looks like it was printed and then you can see a seam. It's not a straight seam, so it kind of goes along with the whole crackle look, but on the cap and the barrel there's a seam going along it. So I don't much care for the material on this. It looks fine from a distance, but I don't find it very impressive. I think some of their newer offerings in the Shizuku line are a lot more attractive. I would have been happier with just like brass or aluminum with a coating perhaps than something like this. It is quite lightweight, I will say, but it does also have brass and metal fittings which add some weight to it. So the design is interesting, maybe not the best, that there's one union piece and then it threads on either side. I haven't personally had the issue where I'm trying to take the cap off and the back end unthreads or anything like that, but I could certainly see something like that happening possibly. The other thing is that presumably this piece here, well, I shouldn't say presumably, is it supposed to be a grip section? Because it's very small if it is. I usually grip it back here and then I find the length a little bit short, but still comfortable enough. The only branding on this pen is on the end that gets covered when you put the barrel on, and that's this little Wancher symbol right there. It does thread smoothly, so that's nice. Okay, now my biggest curiosity with this was, how does this work? What kind of feed system is this utilizing? And I wouldn't recommend this for you to do if you have one of these pens, but I'm happy to demonstrate it for our own curiosities and learning. When I was cleaning this, I noticed that with ease this came out. So basically you have, this is the dip end, and then this is actually what operates as the feed. And you can, if I could get this to focus, there, that's better. That for every groove, or not groove, but kind of the glass peaks that are there, it has its own kind of feed attached. So these channels go small to bigger and bigger and bigger, where they swirl until they become small again at the nib point. So what we have going on here is, you can see right through it, it's just a plastic housing to accommodate this piece. There's no proper feed other than the glass piece that's acting as a feed. So the next thing that I'm very curious about with this, let me get this back in and I can show you. So there it comes, the other side, see? Now I want to get this fitted with some pressure so that it doesn't wobble or wiggle when I'm using it to write. And I think that's good. Now because of the way this is set up, what I'm very curious about is whether or not shimmer inks will work well in this, because I don't use my shimmer inks in fountain pens, but if we have a glass feed that we can wash out so easily, I'm very curious how well that shimmer will flow without the hindrance of the normal fins on the feed, the plastic feeds that we have for proper metal nibbed or glass, gold nibbed fountain pens. So this is still considered in this setup a fountain pen, because you have a system where you have a writing tip and ink being provided that through capillary action the ink will flow as you write, and there's no need to be dipping it. So I filled up the cartridge, I believe it's a Standard International, with some shimmer ink. I can show you what this is and then we'll get it all set up. Yep, I inked it with Ferris Wheel Press Festival Grove. And I have a swatch for it too, so you can see what it looks like. So it's a kind of a light mossy green with gold shimmer. So I made sure to agitate the bottle to suspend all the shimmer and the ink when I filled my cartridge converter. And I got a good amount, as you can see. Okay, so now that I've nicely fit the glass piece back in, I'm going to seat the cartridge here. There we go. And I'm just going to make sure this is nice and tight. Good. And this threads back here. Wancher Shizuku. This particular one I have is Jupiter, and I believe that these glass nibs come in different sizes. This particular one that I have, I believe, is a medium. I would have, I think, probably enjoyed a fine or extra fine. I believe they come in extra fine, fine, and medium now, but not originally. And I'm going to try to rotate the nib as I do some strokes, because often with glass tip nibs, things will vary based off the position. The other interesting thing is that when you have a glass dip pen, you want to kind of rotate as you're writing, certain channels of the glass will use up their ink reservoir, and then you'll run out of ink. It'll stop writing on that particular side, so you keep rotating. However, I should try not doing that with this because it's a totally different system. So here's a little blob of ink. Why don't we write the ink down? It's Ferris Wheel Press Festival Grove. I would say that, as with any glass dip pen, although this is a glass, let's say glass nibbed pen, you're going to get a certain feedback from the material, that is the glass itself. It's not going to be as it can be very smooth, but it still has that kind of feedback, a glass-like feedback to it that's very unique to glass nibs. So that's definitely present, and you can feel it. So far everything seems to be flowing really nicely. Let's take a look at, and I'm getting a lot of shimmer, but it still looks like it's well suspended. You want to, when you're using shimmer in general, in a reservoir, you want to kind of keep your pen rotating so that the shimmer stays suspended and you don't get the issue of perhaps all the shimmer falling down to the bottom of the cartridge and being used all at once, or having inconsistency with the shimmer, or having it come all towards the feed and then clogging the feed. In the description, it did share that these Wancher Shizuku glass nibs are made by hand. So that's nice to know also. So you can see now that the ink's been flowing for some time. It started off quite a bit thicker after I flooded the feed, which, you know, is not surprising. And now it's tapered off to a much more familiar medium size point. Might be a kind of a medium fine too. All right, it's been almost 2 weeks, and I've written this pen dry. So I wanted to have the experience of writing with it thoroughly, inked with a shimmer ink, and it actually went really well, which I think is awesome, because this is another avenue or even solution for me to be able to enjoy shimmer inks without inking them in my fountain pens, which makes me uncomfortable. And using the glass dip nibs are great, but this is really nice that you can get a consistent flow and a consistent shimmer distribution, which is more challenging with dip because you'd have to continuously suspend the shimmer. So I can show you the cartridge, and the cool thing is there's no shimmer accumulation in the front or the back. So I did notice while I was writing with it and using it that the shimmer was quite consistent. So I really like that. Now, if I was holding the pen and not writing for a minute, then, like you would expect, things would start drying a bit, and especially with the shimmer having to travel down those channels, it would get a bit dry. But I would either flood the feed a little bit or wet it, or keep writing with it a bit dry until the flow picked up again. So like any other pen, like if you're just kind of thinking, you might just cap it. That way you don't have to worry about that. So I think that was good. So in closing, I would say I really enjoyed this experience. I think it's a very unique offering, and it has unique features, which we've talked about. But I'm mostly like really excited about the glass nib experience, being able to use it with shimmer inks in a cartridge. I'm excited to find that it had that glass feed and there's no plastic feed involved. And I really like that it adds a travel convenience being with a cap, and that you don't have to worry about traveling with the glass nib in this situation. What else? I would say another thing to note that makes me a little uneasy is you have a glass nib and then a metal threads. So you have to be careful when you cap it, not to, just to make sure that you take your time and do it properly, because you wouldn't want to hit the threads at an angle with a glass nib because you could chip it. That's one thing of consideration. It makes sense that these threads are metal since they're going on a metal threaded section, but just saying. And the other thing I would say is I didn't find the pen terribly comfortable in the hand, in that this transition is kind of, I don't know if this is supposed to work as a grip section or not. I guess if it was longer, it'd be more inconvenient too with that step. I just would say it's comfortable, but not very, because just the way I hold and grip this particular fountain pen, I find myself not using my traditional grip. So, but overall, I enjoyed the offering very much. So I'll say thank you for watching. And if you have or have experienced this kind of system of pen, let me know what your thoughts were and how it worked out for you. I'll thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. It's all up to you now.